Hey, Chad Peterman here, your host of the Can't Stop the Growth podcast, a show that advances the home services industry and beyond. In this exclusive series, I've joined forces with Camp Digital to bring you powerful learnings that advance you and your business in the realm of all things marketing. Together, we bring content that empowers you to build a positive, healthy workplace for you, your people, and your bottom line. So let me officially pass the mic to Camp Digital for today's episode, chock full of insights that you can take and apply to your growth. Now listen and grow.
Welcome to Around the Campfire. I'm Katie Donovan, CEO of Camp Digital, and I'm excited to share conversations with real home service business owners and executives. Some of my favorite people who I think are the industry's top leaders, innovators, and trailblazers. Each episode, we dive into stories behind successful home services businesses, the wins, the challenges, and everything in between. Our goal, to share real stories from real people. So grab a seat around the campfire and let's get started. Hi, Katie Donovan here with Camp Digital. I have the pleasure today of talking to one of my favorite people in the space, Micheletti. She is the Director of Marketing for Zephyr Home. Hey, Michelle, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, Katie. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I am so excited, primarily because every conversation I have with you is such a good conversation. Now we just have people that are going to be listening in on the conversation as well.
Yeah, and I agree. In every conversation I have with you, I learn something, which is more important. Like, I'm always learning from you.
I love what we do, and I love that we get to do it together. So I'm excited about this one.
Very much.
I'm going to just jump right in, start asking some questions, if I may.
Yeah, absolutely. Shoot away.
Well, tell me a little bit about your background. Why don't we start there? A little bit about you, how you got into the space, how you got into doing what you're doing for the home services.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I'm going to start way back in the day. So when I grew up, I worked in the painting industry. So home services, but a different vertical. My grandfather and my father had a painting company. So that's what I did all of my life from young on. In fact, I was a little fearful to tell my grandfather I wanted to go to college for something different because that's not what he intended me to do. But I did do that. And from there, I actually went into the fitness industry. And I was in the fitness industry for about 13, 14 years. And then COVID hit.
Is that like fitness pizza into my mouth, or fitness like?
No, that's
No?
like a
Oh, that's just me.
old gym fitness. A different kind of fitness.
Got it.
So then, we all had to pivot, and we pivot, and we did a lot of online things and virtual classes. But I could see that it was going to take a very long time for that industry to really get back up and running and us spending like we had spent before, and decided that I needed to find something different to do. And that's when the home services came into play. Believe it or not, it was very similar to the fitness industry. We have memberships as well, although they be different. And from a digital perspective, we're always looking for, how are we acquiring new members? How is our website performing from conversion? So to my surprise, it was very similar that I didn't anticipate. And I actually then just fell in love with it because I've always loved the fitness industry and what I did, because you help people, right? In the end, we're helping people. And you do this in both verticals here. So it was just really important to me to continue to do that. And it just fit nicely into, what my experience had been. And I was surprised, honestly, but now I've fallen in love with it.
Well, and you've got such a unique perspective because most of your time in the home services space has been with PE groups. Is that right?
Correct. Yes.
So you've got a unique set of challenges, I imagine that brings. Can you speak to any of those early challenges, like when you first started out in the space, working with some of those PE groups, some of the challenges you faced?
Yeah, I think my biggest challenge was how to localize the brand, right? How to keep it very localized and really a staple in the community, as well as finding the point of differences, right? We want to build trust. We want to make sure we have expert technicians. But how do you communicate that to a consumer in a different way than what makes you stand out from everyone else? And I think that was the most challenging for me because I had multiple brands. And in essence, I wanted all of those brands to state the same thing, right? I wanted them all to be trustworthy, to take care of the home. So how do you find those points of differences to really drive a message? And that was the most challenging for me.
That's interesting because I think a lot of people that are listening to this maybe aren't part of PE groups and are a little intimidated by the PE groups, but it has its own set of unique challenges. I think that the mom and pops or the independents don't have necessarily.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest challenge is just staying very local, How do we continue to rely on word of mouth with everything else that we have, right? And really being engrossed into a local community.
I got to say, I love that you hit on that, and just a little kind of off the side here, but as we're going into and really in the middle of 2025, I think that's so important because so much of Google is going to be about signals to Google. It is so much beyond keyword now. And I think signaling to Google, we're local here, we support the community. Those are things people are searching for. Those are things Google wants to see. So it's interesting that you hit on that right away.
Yeah. And I mean, I know the consumers want to see us out in the community, right? Supporting the things that are important to them. So I think that is just critical for us. And I think in the PE world, sometimes that's harder to navigate through.
Can you tell me about like a aha moment or like a wow? I mean, we just talked about one of your challenges was trying to do, when was like your first wow moment in the home service? Like, I think I did it. I got it. Like we had some kind of major success.
Yes. It was interesting. It made me really proud to see what we did and made a real difference in the community. We had the privilege of coming together like with other community leaders in the community, support a young woman with developmental challenges. And really all she wanted to do was own her own snow cone stand.
Oh,
Yeah, and be able to employ others in her community. And she was in high school. So we were able to provide HVAC and electrical to the snow cone stand along with other community leaders. And it was one of the most enjoyable things I've ever been a part of. I mean, you want to talk about feeling good about a community, knowing what you did was really impactful. It was so great. We did do you know the show where it's like Move That Bus? We did the same thing with our bands, and we did the move the truck to then display the snow cone stand to her. So it was just such a great feeling. And then all summer long, her and her kids, her friends really worked the snow cone stand, and they invited us all out for free snow cones for the grand opening. And it was really when you realize how much of an impact you can make in the community and how much you can really help lift others up, right? It's so important. It's paying it forward and it pays back to you twofold.
I love this because this is where sometimes, especially in the trades, I think we get a little nervous about the next part, what I'm going to say on this particular topic, and people maybe feel yuck, but it's not yuck. Did the press cover this?
They did.
And did your other businesses cover this?
Yes.
This is what I love. So you got to do something that made you very proud. You said it was a really proud moment. It helped the community, but there's all of that good SEO. I don't mean to sound gross, but all of that good backlinking and all the good SEO and all the good local press that you get from that. You get so much more from those kind of things, not only personally, but professionally, than you do going out and buying backlinks from somebody in another country. And I think that that's something we forget, and that makes us so the trades, that makes us so like, Main Street versus Wall Street. And I love it.
Right. And it also helps create, like, you're the go-to person in the market that can help for these things, right? So not only is it one and done, we want the repeat. We want to every year be able to find someone who has those needs that we can help fulfill.
I love it. I got to stick on this for a second because I love it, because I think, again, not only did it make you feel good, but you're also responsible for marketing, right? Like you got to get, and it's the juice for the squeeze. There's some juice for the squeeze. Snow cone, kind of pun intended there.
Yes.
But you get a lot out of it for the business too, beyond just that feeling of good, helping out the community and doing what's right. So I absolutely, I love that. Besides that, is there any kind of game-changing strategies or something you'd recommend that you've seen work really, really well for you and your businesses? Because you have all kinds. You have small shops, big shops, well-established shops, new.
I think one of the biggest things that I think have been game-changing for us is really data-driven. It's analogy. It's how we're looking at things. It really is the full funnel of right. Like how
I didn't pay you to say that.
no,
Did I either?
well, and I
Okay,
think
good.
I've been talking about that, and it has been such a game changer to really help us be able to make decisions quickly, plus up or down where needed, and really impact the business in real time. And it's really looking at our efficiency through everything and knowing that that it's not just marketing impacting that, right? There are other places in the funnel that have an impact as well, but it also helps us then be able to say, well, is that an issue? Should we evaluate it more? Should we bring in and collaborate with that team to see what maybe is going on? So we as a team can be problem solution oriented, but it really helps from a marketing perspective, because otherwise I think you're shooting in the dark sometimes.
Yeah, it's that old saying, right? Half my advertising wasted. I just don't know which half. Now you can kind of find it. Might be an unfair question because you've got so many different businesses that you do marketing for. But is there a place to start? I mean, anyone listening to this who's like, I want to be data-driven, I want to be focused on the numbers, but where do you start? Because, I mean, I think there's some tools out there that people would say, but I don't know if those are the best tools. So do you have a recommendation for where to start?
Well, there are tools out there, and there is another vendor that I truly, truly recommend. Searchlight. They have been tremendous, really tremendous. And they actually helped me get started. So we got started looking at the funnel through Searchlight. But then we have an amazing product team who took it a step further and really created some dashboards. And it allowed us to go in and say, benchmark, what would be our CPL that we feel like we'd be making money in?
Cost per lead. Yep.
What would the ROAS be?
Yep. Return on ad spend.
Right? If it is under 4, we're probably not making much money. If it's over 6, then we'd want to invest more. So it allowed us to really see some clear benchmarks of when we can determine spend more or spend less. It has been a game changer. I wish I had had it from the start of my career.
Who introduced you to Searchlight? I can't remember.
I don't know. Maybe some amazing lady named
We're big fans.
Katie Donovan.
We're big fans. Yeah. Data is the great equalizer. We're big fans of those guys. So no, I love it. That's a great place to start too, because you don't have to recreate the wheel. There's a lot of tools out there. And I think you also said something else I'm going to go back to, which I really like, which is, and it's not just marketing. Like we tend to try and take responsibility for everything, but there's a lot of steps in there. And that's why I like Searchlight and other tools that are out there that let you see where is the break. I might be getting tons of leads and I might be getting lots of bookings, but those bookings aren't converting to dollars once I'm in the home. Is that a lead quality issue? Is it a sales issue? Is it a dispatch issue? Sending the wrong person to the wrong jobs, right? There's a lot of places to break it down.
Right. I mean, I would love, and we're still working through a lot of it, right? But I would love to see from a technician standpoint, what technicians convert or do better with what leads, right?
Oh, it's huge.
Right. So like if I know that Steve over here converts all the PPC leads, I want to give Steve all those leads. And John might do really well with LSA leads, or Angie leads or whatever that may be in your platform. I just think that's really critical because I know that some leads are tougher than others. Some are easier. And we have experience level technicians from, green to very, very experienced. So,
and there's some that, to get even crazier, there's some that's really great on 8-year-old water heaters. There's some that's really great with, specific brands. There's some that's great with, it's the more you can dial that in, the more profitable it is for the whole business. And everyone's happier. Techs are getting jobs they can convert.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
This next question is one of my favorite because I feel like most of my successes in life, most of my good ideas came from something I did horribly wrong or a giant mistake I made. I know you don't want to hear that from a vendor, but that's where I found some of my. So what's one mistake that you turned into a valuable lesson or something that you can reflect on if you're like, I could give you a warning. This was my big one.
Well, it was probably the one in my most recent career. It was really not putting enough emphasis in understanding how important it is to have SEO when you are launching a new website. I mean, SEO, CRO, it is so critical because obviously I want those organic leads, right? They're the cheapest leads we can get. I need more of those. I don't want to be dependent on the drugs out there, the lead platforms. I want it to be a nice mix, but it was just detrimental to our brand. It was detrimental to how the website performed. And I think also for me personally, I learned that I need to be more vocal. Sometimes, I felt it and I said it, but I probably wasn't vocal enough. And I feel like there was a fear of me being wrong, even though I felt like I was right.
It's interesting. There's a couple follow-ups there, but one is on the vocal thing, because whether you're an owner listening to this, solicit feedback from your team members, or your director of marketing listening to this, make sure you're heard. But you did say something I just want to make sure we circle back on, which was CRO, which is conversion rate optimization. And I will tell you, if I see one mistake a lot, it's that people got all the right content on the site, keywords, images, videos. They've optimized the site and they're still not getting the conversions, which is what we care about, right? And a lot of times, I'll tell you a quick story, Michelle, because you'll get a kick out of this. I had a client about 1.5 years ago call me and he said, I want to leave my provider. I don't think my PPC and SEO is working. It's da-da-da. I said, send me your URL. So I pulled up the URL and I said, I don't know if your SEO is working or PPC is working or not because you don't have a phone number on the website. I am not kidding you. There wasn't a conversion rate optimization, CRO. How do you know if it's working or not when people don't know how to call you, right? They can't contact you. So I mean, hopefully it's not as egregious as that, but there's a lot of little things that can help with that conversion rate optimization that are so important.
Yeah. And to your point, too, I think that the other element to that is battling with creative look versus what we want somebody to do on the website, right? I think people will fall into that trap a little bit too. We want consistency. We want it to look pretty, but it can look pretty all day long, but if people aren't clicking or calling, it doesn't do us any good, right? So you have to find that balance. I want people to have no question when they come to my site what they need to do or what we want them to do to help them with most likely a very urgent situation in their lives.
Yeah, I love talking about that because we live and breathe it. So sometimes we forget about it, but most people are meeting us at an unplanned, unforeseen circumstance. They went to bed not knowing they needed it and woke up now knowing that they need it. It is not something that's planned out ever. So it's really important that we optimize, I think, on the conversion rate for that. And the almighty mobile phone. I don't think people check the mobile enough. We get so obsessed, especially on the marketing side, with, to your point, how it looks and how it looks on desktop. We forget to see how it looks to where it matters the most.
And most people are using their mobile, right? 70% are really using mobile to search and look for things. So I think it's really, really important that it's responsive to mobile, and you're checking that all the time as well.
I could not agree more. On that front, with everything changing so much in the space, what do you do to keep on top of all those changes? How do you navigate it?
You know what I do? I partner with really good vendors who help me do that.
Okay, that one you might have been paid to say. I'm not sure. I think so.
And I am being completely honest, right? This world is so busy and we have so much to execute and so much going on when you are a marketing director that I rely on my vendors to help me navigate through these times and to help bring ideas, to be, forward thinking and bringing those to me so that we can test, we can be on the edge. There is no way, and I'm being completely honest, there is no way that me, Michelle, could do all of that by myself. There just isn't. So being real about what you can and can't do is number one. Number two, finding those good partners to help you do that. And, if I didn't have that, I would be behind, right? Because it's very hard to do. Now, I'm not saying that you can't listen to podcasts and, review SEO journal and those things as well. But I really rely on my vendors to really help be the forefront and bring me those ideas and tell me where I'm messing up or where a gap is that we need to fill. It's vital to my success.
Yeah, I'm a huge advocate of that. I'm also a huge advocate of testing. I was just talking to a client this morning. We had tested something 4 years ago. And she said, I think we should test it again. I said, I think you're right. Because just because it tested one way 4 years ago, it doesn't mean it's going to test that way now. And it's going to be a bit of effort. They're updating the way some images look on their site. And why go through all that effort on something that happened 4 years ago? So constantly testing. And I'm a huge advocate for carving out a bit of budget specifically for testing, which I know can be an uphill climb for some of us trying to convince other leadership that we need a budget just to test things. But with what's going to happen in 2025 and how fast things are going to change, I almost think it's like a requirement to stay ahead of the game.
Right. To your point, Katie, you also have to embrace that you're going to fail. Right. And sometimes that's a big fear factor as well. But if we're going to test, we're going to fail, but fail with the idea or vision that we're going to fail 2 or 3 times. And then fourth, fifth time, we're going to be successful. Right. But because if we don't ever fail, we won't learn.
I was going to say, to me, I always, that old line, a failure is only a failure to learn. I feel like when you learn something didn't work, you're ahead of the game because you're not trying something that doesn't work. So,
yeah. But I think embracing that and having your company embrace that is scary to people, right? You don't want to go in and say you failed if you don't have everybody else really understanding the testing element of things and embracing that failure is okay.
Part of the reason I wanted to talk to you, Michelle, specifically on this front is because you do have so many businesses that you oversee and you work with as their director of marketing. Can you tell me something that you think everyone should be paying attention to in 2025? Is there something that you see, a trend or something that you're seeing in any of your locations that you're like, I want to shake people and tell them this is something they should be really paying attention to?
Well, from a marketing perspective, I really think SEO, where is that going? How is AI changing that, right? That I think it's going to be so critical to stay on the forefront of that. And when you're talking about just the ops side of things, really, the smart technology, where are people going? How do they want to, be able to lighten their carbon footprint, number one, and be able to detect things earlier that will help be efficient and save them money. So I think you really have to, dive into both of those. And again, I spoke from marketing to ops. I think it's really, really important to understand that. And, also the state of our economy, you never know what we're going to do and, how that'll impact cost. So you really need to be aware of that cost and inventory, right? We saw a lot of things when we went through COVID that impacted that. So I think you have to stay in touch with what is happening in the country, as well as then, from marketing side, looking at some of these new things that I think are going to be amazing, but we have to pivot and adapt to what that means to us.
It's a great point because I think AI, and not only is AI changing everything, but people are getting more comfortable with it. So we have a lot of clients that use AI answering services, whether it's the whole service or for after hours or overflow. But I'm hearing, as I listen to calls, more and more customers getting used to it. I just heard a call today where the customer was like, he recognized it was an AI and was answering it like, let's speed this up because he realized he didn't have to be polite. So he's like, tune up. Yeah, club member. Thursday. Like he just knew, and like he kind of sped the whole thing up because they're getting used to the integration of AI in their everyday life.
Yeah. But again, I think we have to test that, right? I mean, people, I think, still want to speak to a human as quick as possible when your basement's flooding. So test where that's working and where it's not, and where you can implement it, and where maybe you have to have a different workflow for your phones. So,
and inspect what you expect. That one I cannot stress enough. Know before you start something what you're hoping to get out of it. That your point was a great point. If my basement's flooding, I don't want to talk to a machine. I want to talk to a human. So does your AI system have a way for it to get out, to get to a human? So I could say emergency and get to a human, or those kind of things. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. And I have to bring up a selfish point to that too, Katie, is what's it do to my LSA?
Yeah. And what's it do? Right. No, that's a great point. I'm thrilled you said that because everything has ramifications that we don't necessarily always think about, right? Did it take down my LSA because LSA detected AI and
connect with the person?
Doesn't feel that that's a meaningful, user experience. Yeah, great point. I love that. That's a phenomenal point.
I think there's a lot of benefits, but you really have to explore all of it, and not just from where it may be efficient in one part of your business, but is it detrimental to another? And is the juice worth the squeeze? You have to kind of explore that.
I want to shift gears on you a little bit, only because, when we sat down and said, who do we want to get on the show? I thought of you immediately, primarily because of something that's not necessarily related to marketing per se, but just how you lead your calls, how you work with your teams, how you work with your vendors, selfishly, talking about selfishly. And I wanted to see if you could give us a little bit, like, how do you approach leadership, both within your company and then externally with folks? Can you speak a little bit about that? Because it's one of the things I admire about you the most.
Well, thank you very much. One of the biggest things that I think is important is surrounding myself with good people, right? That's number one. I really take the time to try to find someone who's a right fit, someone who may be able to fill some of my deficits, right? So it's really about finding the right people that you trust and that have the same work ethic, passion for what you're doing, and drive to be successful. Right. So I think that's number one. And then I also am someone who, I won't not do anything that I ask of my team. Right. It's really important. It's leading by example. It's giving, the credit, the individual contributions, letting them know that they did a good job, and the vendors as well. Like, I so appreciate what your team does. And granted, there are times where we all make mistakes. But, it's owning up to it, moving forward, finding the solution to make it happen, and then thanking someone. The little things. Thank you for something. Thank you for doing a good job. Thank you for helping me fix this problem that maybe I created. So I think we live in a thankless world. And I think those small little things just go a long way.
I found that when you work with someone that says thank you, it's a lot easier for someone, as a vendor, to say, hey, I made a mistake. Which you don't want to hear about your vendors making mistakes. I get it, but we're all human. We make mistakes. When you make it easy for us to say, hey, we made a mistake, it's easy for us to get to a solution. And I do appreciate that. I think, this may be a shock to you because I'm sure you don't have anyone like this in your organization, but sometimes people get a little emotional, especially in the business we're in. If my boards are empty, I got a bunch of techs sitting around. It's stressful. I get it. But it's just so nice to know that you're on the same team as someone and not working against them, it makes a huge, huge difference.
And I also try to, like, when we get in those situations, to explain a little bit of where it's coming from, or why am I asking this, or why are we going down this road? Because I think the why is just as important. If I'm just, flailing questions at you and no one really understands why or where it's coming from, it sometimes can be off-putting to someone, right? So I can't tell you how important it is. Just take a few minutes and explain the why and talk about what's the best way to answer the why together.
And you've said that to us before. You've called me up and said, gosh, I just want your team to tell me why they're recommending that. Like, I'm not opposed to it, but what's the purpose? What am I going to get from it? So it's good to get that check.
Yeah. And I will say, I also feel like, one of the qualities, I try to be a lifelong learner. So sometimes it's that, and sometimes it's selfishly, I want to understand so I learn for myself.
Well, and we all have people we're accountable to, whether you're the owner of the business or a director of marketing, we all have people we're accountable to. We have to explain things sometimes. Last question, then we're going to go into a lightning round. If you could give your younger self, so go back to when you were first starting in the home services, give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
It would be have more confidence in my abilities.
Oh, gosh, I love that.
Well, and I see my kids, like, they will ask things that I'm like, I'm glad you didn't ask me for that advice, because I'd have said no. And then they get it, right? So don't be afraid to think that you're worth more, have more confidence in yourself, and ask for what you want. All you can hear is no. That's all you can hear. That's the worst thing, right?
Which is second best to yes, in my opinion, because they move on, right? Yeah. All right, lightning round. You ready for this?
Oh, no, I guess.
Okay, real quick. What's your favorite way to start the day?
I don't know if this is my favorite way, but it is the way that sets my day up is I make my bed. If my bed is not made, I feel very disorganized, but it's also one accomplishment of the day, right? It's my first accomplishment of the day, and it makes me feel really good.
Do you make your bed if your husband's still in it, or how do you just make it around him?
No, but that throws off my day if he is in it and my bed is not made.
Favorite book, podcast, resource for business insights?
I like Gary Vee.
I love Gary Vee, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's real, right? And I love that he's real. I also like SEO Journal as well, as looking into that. But I will be honest, I'm a big audiobook of like thrillers and murders, so you have to pull me away to get them.
You sociopaths. You guys looking for more murders. I don't trust you guys one bit.
Oh my gosh, I love them. They are like my favorite.
One tool or piece of technology you can't live without in business?
Well, in this business, I believe is a CRM. I mean, you've got to have that. It connects us to our clients in a variety of different ways. It keeps us organized, per se. It can be a beast, but I think you have to have that.
And yours is Service Titan, that you guys use?
Yes, it is Service Titan.
Greatest strength as a business leader?
My ability to connect with people, I believe.
Okay, and last one. Favorite way to unwind after a long day?
Really, it's just spending time with my family. My family means everything to me. I love spending time with them, or just watching, favorite show.
Oh, what's your favorite show?
Well, I love Lincoln Lawyer. There's a whole lot I love.
As soon as I said it, I got nervous because I thought you were going to say like Dateline Mysteries Unsolved or something.
I was going to say Dexter.
Oh, no, exactly. There you go. Case in point.
There you go. I like Dexter too.
Well, Michelle, I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you taking time to share with us. Honestly, when we said, hey, we need some more folks, you were the very first person that came to the top of my mind. So I appreciate you so very much. I'm looking forward to seeing you because you're going to come up and visit the office soon, which I'm really, really excited about as well. And again, just thank you very, very much for all your time.
Oh, you are so welcome. And you are too kind. And again, you are one of my favorite people in the world beyond just being an amazing vendor. So thank you very much for the invite. And I can't wait to see you soon.
Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to connect with me personally, you can find me at chadmpeterman.com. To see what our team's up to, you can visit petermanbros.com. Don't forget to check out the YouTube channel and consider joining the CSTG arena. As always, keep growing out there.